Radio Rahim here with Don Charles. As you know, this man never stops. So, Pug Yard, Pug Barn, Ringside, Fight Week, Road, Work, wherever it is, I find you working.
People from my generation, that's generally how it is. Work ethic. I've got one of my best assets as a human being, work ethic.
We're in an interesting kind of moment, right? Because the fight camp is done. Just finished yesterday officially. Mm-hmm. So we're in that couple of limbo days between the work and the gym having been completed. You got to be confident that you did what you needed to do to prepare your fighter to go in there this coming Saturday night. And in less than 48 hours, the madness starts. You got 100 people sitting you down, micing you up, trying to wind you up, get a quote. You got your opponent and his coach across the apron, if you will, on the press conference. They're saying what they're saying. In this moment right now, what goes through the mind of a trainer at your level, and what are you hoping your fighter is thinking?
Right. First and foremost, any trainer, any boxer, when you go into camp, you hope to complete the camp. The fighter completes the camp with no injuries. So the most important, we achieve that by not picking up any injuries, you know, especially in the finishing latter stages of the prep. You just fingers crossed that you don't sustain any injuries, and we managed to achieve that. So that's the most important. Camp was completed successfully. Remember, Daniel's gone from camp to camp. You know, in the last 14 months, all he's done. This is his fourth fight in 14 months. All he's done is gone from camp to camp. And you also asked me what goes through the mind of a coach and the fighter. I could tell you what goes through my mind. Obviously, I'm a human being, and we've done the work. But what makes us human is the unknown, isn't it? You're going against another team. They've also prepared. They've trained with the mindset they want to win. We've prepared with a mindset we want to win. So that's what makes it so interesting. It's the unknown. Till that bell rings, we believe we know Daniel's gonna carry out our game plan, which points to a victory. And that's what we believe, and that's what we believe is going to happen. So my mindset right now is, I'm always a very positive person, and we've done the work to back up that positive thinking.
You go into this fight in a way that you and Dubois have never entered the ring before, with a belt around his waist.
Okay, I was wondering what you meant by that, but you did. Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
There's a reason
yes, it is.
that being a champion is so sought after by fighters. There's a reason they give you the hardware, because it represents an accomplishment that you've made. Mm-hmm. But I've heard many people say to me, sitting in the seat that you're sitting in, the only thing harder than winning a championship is keeping it.
Keeping it, yep. I make them right.
Yes.
And, yeah. I mean, it's never happened to me before in terms of a world title, heavyweight world title. And having won it, it's harder to keep it, because the people you're operating against are at a very high level, and they don't come any higher than Anthony Joshua. Mm-hmm. So it's an exciting proposition, and it's an exciting challenge.
I like putting you in this environment that is your environment. It's not like I created it, but you created it because this is your world. And people be like, oh, well, there's mitt work going on in the background. Listen to all that racket. But this is the music of your mind.
Most definitely.
This is relaxing to people who live this life, that pad work in the background. And it also is a reminder that you're at the elite level on Saturday night, the 21st, at Wembley Stadium. 100,000 people will be watching. Two of the best in the sport compete. But at every level, this guy behind us, and forgive me, I don't even know his name, but I know his dream.
His name is Jason Matthews, the Method Man.
Jason Matthews, the Method Man.
Yes.
Has a dream.
He's a middleweight.
Like every
what
other
were you,
fighter
middleweight, lightweight?
Has a dream. He's in there in his mind. He's at Wembley Stadium.
Correct.
There's 100,000 people watching him win a world title.
Correct.
Everybody you see lace up and go through this kind of process of pain and sacrifice wants that moment. And so now you have not just the physical athlete in your hands, but you have the mental responsibility for this man climbing through those ropes with the confidence, the game plan, and the certainty that he can win. Some people think that having lost a fight makes a fighter washed up, or he's done, especially in this era, like the era of the undefeated.
Correct.
But I personally believe that if you fought tough and learned something from the defeat, that goes into the recipe for the next victory. What goes into the recipe from the times that Dubois fell short with and without you that makes the recipe for success on Saturday night?
Well, you quite rightly pointed out, even when you sustain a loss, the idea is to learn from that loss. Why did I lose? You go back after the even when we win, we go back and look at the tapes. How did we win? What made it? So it's you have to do that. So from all the adversities Daniel has faced as a professional boxer, he's learned from them, which puts him where he is today. And it's I mean, we haven't even stopped to reflect. That's the truth, because there's no time to reflect as such, because it means you're still rising, And nothing changes on the 21st. He's gonna gather all those experiences he's had. Like I said, whether it's a loss from the past, you learn the things how we approach the fight. Was it wrong? And then that's the whole point of a coach and a team. You examine everything.
When a fighter loses, it's often the reaction that he changes the trainer to really remove the responsibility from himself for having lost. And then he gets in his mind, okay, well, it was that guy and that game plan, and now I got a new guy and a new game plan, and this is going to be different. This is going to be better. That's why I lost, and this is how I'm going to win. But Dubois kind of famously has changed trainers sometimes midstream when it seemed like success was happening. You're not the first trainer of note that he has had, but you are the trainer who has taken him the furthest, in that he's attained his first world title. This is by far, even I would say, bigger than the Usyk fight, even though Usyk was a unified champion. The fact that this is an all-England fight, Anthony Joshua has been king of the division, and certainly in the UK for many, many years now. This fight doesn't get bigger for a British fighter.
No, it doesn't.
So just like Dubois has to take those lessons of defeat and victory from the past and carry it forward, you are now carrying that fighter and everything he brings with him forward. Because he's been through so many kind of camps and trainers and strategies, approaches, what phase is he at now? The Don Charles era, if we will. How is that defined from what Dubois has experienced and has shown us before? Well,
like I've always stated that I got Daniel Dubois, at a very good level in his career, in his boxing career, and I've been able to bolt on the Don Charles ethos on top of a very good. I use the word inherited. Okay, when I got Daniel, he was at a very good level. So I always acknowledge the previous coaches, because they're all built their foundations. Then all you do then is put layers. I'm merely putting layers that I recognize that should be on top of what he's already got. So he brought a lot to the table. So it makes my work a lot easier. And because of the experience that I have, I'm able to recognize what he needs at this level to then, he's already won a world title. I mean, I still can't believe it. I really can't. On a daily basis, I pinch myself. Okay, many are saying, but he didn't win it in the ring. Yes, he did. The chap he beat in the name of Hrgovic, it's been a mandatory for that belt for the last 3 years. To some degree, a lot of people were avoiding him, hence why they never gave him his chance. Right. And the agreement, before going into that fight, is that the winner fights for this IBF, okay? Right. Daniel beat the mandatory challenger to the IBF belt. Then interim title was thrown in by the IBF, okay? Right. Then Usyk, again, people forget, they don't know the rules, so they're just commenting without knowing the actual rules, yeah? When Usyk became undisputed, don't quote me, I believe he had 30 days to defend the IBF.
Right. Impossible.
So, yeah, right. So either defend it or drop it. It's highly unlikely. I don't know anyone in the history of the sport to have defended it in 30 days after competing. Yeah?
Right.
So, but apparently he sustained an injury during the Fury fight. It might not be a massive injury, but he sustained, and you can't, the rules are you cannot strip an injured fighter. Yeah?
Right.
So those are the rules. We don't make these rules up.
So
people are saying people are
God.
saying that he is really charitable. He relinquished the belt. No, he had to relinquish the belt. He had to relinquish it. Those are the rules.
And the reason it wasn't on the line on the night, we didn't walk in with that belt already in the ring, was because of the injury delay, which kept him within the 30 days, which meant he hadn't had to been stripped yet.
Correct.
And if he had given it up voluntarily, then the ring would have had the belt in it when both fighters entered.
Correct.
But it was because they had to strip him. He didn't voluntarily offer it.
Correct. So the way the narrative that's been spread is that, he kindly, charitably surrendered the belt. No, he did not. If he could keep that belt, he would have kept it.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
So here we have, then the IBF did the right thing by promoting Daniel Dubois to a full champion. But even ourselves, Daniel Dubois, the fighter, the coaching staff, we will be happier after we get the victory on the 21st to be officially be presented with that belt. That's our feelings. We were not happy because we didn't get it in the way we wanted to get it. No, we're not happy with that. Okay, so but the general public are like, even what I'm really disappointed with, established, experienced trainers are all saying, "Oh, but he didn't win it in the ring." Let me ask them a question: if your fighter, you find yourself in the same situation, your fighter was awarded that belt, will you reject it? The answer is no. So you're all hypocrites. Going back to what you said to me. We didn't plan it like that. We found ourselves in that position.
And not only that, there was a fight had by a man who was mandatory for much too long.
3 years.
For 3 years.
Yeah.
And in a lot of people's book was the favorite.
They said, the same hypocrites were labeling it. They said it was a mismatch when that fight was made between Dubois and Hrgović. It was a mismatch. I didn't say no mismatch. So, again, that's how the world we live in, okay? Jealousy is a terrible thing, and hatred mind. The truth will set you free.
It's not any different this time. In fact, the environment is probably more laden with people who says this is a mismatch. Joshua, 3-4 rounds. Dubois is over his head.
Yep.
The right hands, you've heard it.
Yep.
These people have the right to have their opinions, certainly.
Most definitely.
These type of criticisms that kind of write Daniel off, where do you place that kind of talk in your mind?
That's just the human race. Then you come to boxing. That's just boxing for you, the boxing public, yeah? It fuels us, especially a character like me. That fuels me, man. When I go to bed, I'm charged. And that electricity, that energy that I'm generating, guess who picks it up? Daniel Dubois. He too, he knows, he hears what goes on. That also drives him, that charges and fuels him. So please, bring it on.
People have doubted both fighters. You know, Joshua famously, more famously than Dubois, in fact, has had to withstand a avalanche of criticism.
Yep.
Much of it, I think, is unfair. Much of it is way, way premature. Talking about retirement, he's done and
the same
mentally
culprits.
gone.
The same culprits. Yeah, not so long ago. I'm glad you brought that up. Not so long ago. Yeah, this is a kid Anthony Joshua, who's transcended boxing in Britain and worldwide. Yeah, what he's achieved. He too gets criticized. So who are we? Right. So when you look at it like that, who are we? Me, myself, Daniel Dubois, team, yeah? We haven't as yet gone to those levels, what he's achieved in terms of achievement. I'm not talking about ability, I'm talking about achievements, okay? Right. So even Joshua gets criticized, yeah?
Yeah.
And the same culprits are now saying viciously. He's the best thing, he's back. Yeah, of course he's back. He didn't go anywhere. Right, so it's just the way, you're just gonna have to grow thick-skinned. I mean, listen, I'm quite a sensitive man, quite an emotional person. I must tell you, boxing has changed me. The boxing industry has changed my personal. I used to get really hurt by these things earlier on in my coaching career. It used to really affect me badly. But you see, but you get out of it, or if you want to, you stay in it. If it's too hot, get out. I decided to stay on.
Anthony Joshua's greatest defender, and rightly so, is Eddie Hearn. When Joshua was taking all this criticism and people were saying crazy things like he should retire and all the things we just talked about, Hearn took umbrage and took to the press and was like, you know, very defensive, very chastising of those who he felt was dealing with Anthony Joshua unfairly. But this week, Eddie Hearn has assessed Dubois. And while I don't think has directly called him a quitter, he has said that he has quit, and he made the caveat, to be fair to Eddie, that it was the smart thing to do in the Usyk fight. It was the smart thing to do when his eye socket seemed to be
that was with Joyce,
with Joyce, and that is what 99% of people would do, except that is a fatal flaw in a fighter, that he has quit in him. That the thing that separates a fighter and the average man is that the fighter stands up in that moment and carries on. What is your take on that assessment?
People are allowed to assess. People are allowed to pass their own personal observations and opinions. Who am I to say to them otherwise that they're wrong? Yeah, I believe they're wrong. One day, when all this is all over, everyone's career is over. They've all retired happily. Yeah, I will do, probably with you, an interview to reveal all. Yeah, to reveal all of this quitting accusation. Yeah, I'm not going to elaborate on it. We've examined it. We've had to examine it internally. Okay? Like I said, I'll stop right there. There's a reason for everything. And you'll be sorry. Yeah? All these people pointing fingers. That's what they're seeing. What they're seeing is that suggests that a person may have quit. No, he did not quit. And we've searched and we've come to a conclusion what have caused. In the Joyce fight, for instance, if any person is honest to themselves if you push yourself at the eye hard, the pain is excruciating to the degree it's quite sickening. You feel it in your stomach. So imagine getting punched in the eye to the degree the pain was alien. Okay? There is such thing in boxing as taking a knee. There is such a thing. Take a knee and take a count. And that's what he did. He's not the first one to have taken a knee in boxing. Okay? He got counted that. Because God knows the pain, if you was to measure the pain, what that young man was feeling that particular day in that particular fight. Okay? So it's carry on, criticize, but look where he is today. Yeah? But like I said, one day, from my own take, I will explain the reasons behind what they're labeling as a quit.
Many trainers and fighters alike, you probably have said this to me in the past, that fighting is at least 80% mental. So when we talk about this quitting, and you talk about you examine it internally, of course, that's wise.
You have to.
Have you had to have that conversation with Dubois directly so that when adversity comes, that he knows whether he's a quitter or not?
It's processing, the mind processing. There's a way to process each and every experience that we experience, whether it's a physical experience or a mental experience. Yeah, there's a way to process it. His father, like I always, because this man, what he does behind the closed doors, he works hard on that. It's his son, and I know the input I also have as a boxing coach. I'm more than a boxing coach. Yeah, there's the physical side of it and there's mental aspects of it, and I take, because of my experience, my age, I'm an older guy. I'm an older coach. I'm probably one of the oldest coaches in this country. I am. Yeah, currently. So I've learned a lot, and I'm quite an observant person. I love this sport. I've dedicated my adult life to it, and Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love boxing, and yeah, like I said, I've managed to develop the same way a fighter has to develop. A coach also has to develop in many areas.
One of the criticisms from Dubois' Usyk fight, I believe, was that the corner was chaotic. That there was too many voices. That there was
Usyk or Miller or Hrgovic.
Was it Hrgovic?
Hrgovic. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The reason I was confused there is because, yes, you're right. It's the Hrgovic fight where the corner was busy, but it was the Usyk fight where he was on the one knee and it looked like he had looked off into the distance. And you can only speculate as to what he was focusing on.
Let's just go back to the Usyk situation, for instance, yeah? I think you're trying to corner me. You're trying to trick me into...
Well, you didn't let me finish the question, so wherever you go now.
Right. So, no, because one thing at a time. So, basically, that situation, he was under instruction prior to the fight, prior to any fight. Should you find yourself on the ground, look for your corner. I'm not the first coach to give instructions to their fighter for that. You prep everything. And if you go and watch the fight, the Usyk, the second knockdown, yeah? I told him, I will give you signal when to get up. I put my hand up. Go and watch it and time it. I mistimed the count. I was up by 1 second.
Oh, wow.
If I don't know if they can catch the corner, given you will see me, I'm saying, stay down. And I said, rise. I missed count because there's so much going on. Yeah, and I was so upset from earlier Daniel having legitimately floored Usyk. Yeah, that really threw us. It threw the fighter, that 5-minute gap. It threw the fighter. It threw us, right? Then I was so despondent in the sense that, okay, I know the referee's counting. I'm saying get up. He got up, I think at 9. Too late. You have to be up. Yeah, and referee was looking for any excuse to stop the fight anyway. So right? And we gave him the perfect excuse. Yeah, we got up late.
He stood up late because the signal was late, count, and that's what he was looking for was your count.
Yes, sir.
See, that's brilliant.
Right. Okay. I don't like... So that's one incident. You asked me again that how we sure that the corner won't be chaotic. Again, we had a meeting after the Hrgovic fight. We won. Right. But we'll still go back to the drawing board and examine everything. Why were we taking so many right hands in the first 3 rounds? We've examined that and we've identified why. Then the corner cannot be how it was for the Hrgovic fight. Cannot. We've had meetings on that and, it was too chaotic.
Well, this is a revelation, by the way, about the Usyk fight. I don't know that I've heard that before if anyone else has.
No, because no one's asked me. The reasons that what I believe genuinely happened. It happened. I'm involved in it, so it happened.
And when I mentioned the corner, it wasn't to heap on more criticism. In fact, what I recognized was the right hands you were talking about eating, and then you brought up Dubois' father, who calls himself Dave, has not been a part of other camps with other trainers, right? A lot of trainers, and understandably, want the voices quieted when they're training their fighter. And they don't want the father, they don't want the girlfriend, they don't want the brother, they don't want the former trainer certainly to have a voice there. But it seemed like early in the Hrgovic fight, Dubois was eating those right hands, not having success. And then I was going to ask if maybe what other people considered chaos in the corner, he was actually necessary so he could find at least the voice for him to
it was. I'm not defending,
switch on.
Yeah, I'm not defending that at all. It was chaotic. We recognize that.
But was it necessary? Like if it had been calm.
No, for the whole corner team was screaming. No, that's not acceptable. There should be one voice at a time. It's okay for different members of the team to talk. Yeah. Choose your moment. Don't talk when somebody else is giving instructions because it causes confusion. Yeah? So, like I said, we've worked a system that we've done in previous fights. It's not the first fight we've done to get to. This will be the 4th one. And you look at the things you did wrong and you correct them going forward.
When you fight a fighter with the experience and the ring intelligence of Anthony Joshua. How important is the game plan in contrast with the athleticism? Obviously, Anthony is a great athlete. He's a towering figure in boxing. But what people are not talking about in this fight, and maybe it won't be relevant, but it can be, there's a near 10-year age gap. And while Anthony Joshua has the experience at this level that dwarfs Dubois has fought at this level and is almost a decade his junior. Do you think that that age gap could play a part on Saturday night? And how do you train Dubois to either be just the younger fighter that is pressure coming forward, or is it that he needs to keep a game plan in mind and stick to some kind of rigid structure?
Well, he has to follow the game plan as close as possible as he can. It's like any examination, score high, okay? And it's up to us also to make Anthony feel the age difference. It's up to us. It's up to Daniel Dubois.
I know as a coach, you would be unwise to reveal anything that you see as an opportunity to defeat Joshua specifically. But knowing him in a way, I think that other trainers that have faced him don't. You've known the man for the entirety of his career. While you've not been in his corner, you have at times been in his corner. And this rumor, I don't know if it's true because I've never seen the footage, but they say that Dubois, very early in, I guess, amateurs, either buzzed or stopped Joshua in training. Does that carry any weight this further down the line?
No, it doesn't. It's a reference. Whatever may have happened, it's a reference. But it's the unspoken within our camp. Nobody brings it up. Daniel certainly won't bring it up, and we're not at liberty to bring anything up. I wasn't there, nor was other members of the team weren't there. So it's not about the past, it's about today. Okay, it's about today, living at the moment. It's about today. It's the same. I can give you an example. Hergovich hung on to what may have happened between him and Daniel when they sparred also. He hung on to it, really did. And that came back to bite him on the ass, dearly.
Do you feel like there are things that you know about Anthony Joshua? I'm not asking what they are. I'm just saying, do you think that there are things you know that no other trainer who would be facing him could know just because of the amount of experience you've had with him personally?
Potentially.
So the edge in this fight, like, again, Dubois, a lot of people's cards is an underdog.
Yeah.
So where does he find the edge? Like, does he have to do the impossible? Or is it that people are missing what is much more possible than they think, if that makes sense?
You said to do the impossible. Why is it impossible? It's very, very possible.
So those people who would be picking Joshua in 3 or 4 rounds, they would, the right hands, the experience, the size, the ring intelligence, all that stuff.
I can see their reasons.
Are they wrong about that, or is there are there things that they're just not considering?
There's a lot they're not considering. I don't expect them to say my guy's gonna win. This is the nature of the industry. This is the nature of sport. Everybody will choose who they believe is good, whether it's a boxing match, cricket match, football match, tennis match. People have, have you sometimes having a conversation about a sport? It could be a tennis player like us, it could be a footballer. We're talking about boxing. Said, I don't like, the person said, I don't like that fighter. He said, why don't you like him? I don't know, but I just don't like him. Did you hear what I said, yeah? They haven't really got a reason.
Right. Some people call that hating.
Yeah, so a lot of people, when they make these predictions, they're making it based on their heart, their hatred mind, not on the actual facts. If they base it on the facts, you find they'll reach a different conclusion. But when you're judging somebody from a hatred point of view, then there's only gonna be one conclusion you're gonna draw, is that I want that guy to lose. Not that guy is going to lose because of your findings.
Right.
I want that guy to lose. You understand me? So there's a lot of that. There's also those who are experts who, based on their findings, like what you pointed out too, they look at all the positives of Anthony Joshua. He has loads of positives. his punching power, his physicality, his experience at this level. Yeah? So they're basing their judgment based on those factors. Yeah? And they will totally disregard what Daniel Dubois is doing and has done. Yeah? So, but I said to you in the beginning of this conversation that fuels us, always has done. Yeah? Being the underdog. In fact, my planned book, God willing, going forward in my coaching career is called The Underdog, coincidentally. Because I've always been an underdog coach. Yeah? And I've triumphed many, many times. And even if it's not a world title, I've trained 5 British champions in my time coaching in Britain. Yeah? It's a very hard thing to do. Commonwealth champions, European champions. Southern Area is the first title you win as a fighter, as a coach in this country. I have lost count how many Southern Area champions I've produced. So I've come through my journey, step by step. I've learned. Yeah? I like to know what the opposition has done to get to where they are today. Right? But we're not here to talk about that. I'm just giving you an example. What puts me in this position? Yeah. My confidence is not just because I'm a confident person, but it's based on facts.
Right.
The journey that I've done, which brings me here today, and destiny that brings me here today.
The same kind of attitude where you talk about people saying, "Oh, I just don't like that fighter, so he's gonna lose. Oh, this guy is a bum just because I think I don't appreciate the kind of person he is. All of a sudden, he's a bum."
Yeah.
Trainers, I think, get it even worse because they will only, if they don't have any affinity for you or don't like you for some reason, they only count your losses and don't give you credit for your wins, or they don't look at the breadth of your career and take that in totality of how you've changed fighters and how you've changed trajectories of careers.
I've trained many people before Daniel Dubois, but I don't get credited for it, yeah? Everyone only knows me for Derek Chisora, but I've trained many. Like I said, I've done 5 British titles. I'm not even counting the defenses of those British titles. When you win it, you defend it, yeah? Like I said, I've done that, and that stands me in good stead. I've fought for world title before. My fighters have fought for world titles before. And I've learned, like I said, we may not have succeeded, but I learned, where did I go wrong? It's all very well the fighter didn't win. Where did the coach go wrong? The things that I needed to tweak, improve myself to aid the fighter to then higher chance of getting victory.
Do you see this as a competition between you and Davidson?
Most definitely. Hey, excuse me. He has to devise a game plan. I have to devise a game plan. And our fighters, respective fighters, have to go and, like I said, carry that game plan as close to possible as you can. In any examination, score high as you can. You get A star, you get distinction, yeah? You get A, you get B plus. You know, it's like that. So in boxing, it's the same thing.
To what degree do you think that maybe dynamic has been overlooked? When I'm listening and reading about people contrasting the fight, there's not a lot said about what I think can be a major factor in this fight, which is the corners, which is the coaches, you and Ben, which is the approach that you choose and that he chooses, where his fighter is mentally, where yours is mentally. I mean, do you think that's being overlooked? Or, you know, then other people say, well, nobody can take a punch for you. You're not going to be in there with him once the bell rings. To what degree do you think that the trainers, you and Ben, have an effect on what happened Saturday night?
Well, we have a lot of effect. You know, that's what you get paid for. It's a job.
So how do you match up against Ben Davidson in that regard?
I'll let the audience judge that. I said, look at my background. They haven't examined my background in the last 20 years. Go and look at my resume. It's online. It's not something I'm telling you.
That's right.
It's online. Yeah, trace it and trace the opposition, and that will tell you everything you need to know.
A common question is, oh, well, what will this mean to you if you win? I think it's kind of obvious, right? Like, you first of all, you don't know until you win what it actually means.
Correct.
And secondly, nobody doesn't want to win, so it will mean everything until you either experience it or don't. But what I like to know is what does it mean to you to be in this moment before the first bell rings? Like, you don't want to get, to be looking back and counting your laurels, but you're fighting a guy, Anthony Joshua, who you had some involvement with shaping from the very beginning, who is the king of the UK boxing for sure.
World.
I mean, save Tyson Fury, and obviously Alexander Usyk is now was undisputed for a few minutes there. We get it, but as far as me, when I came to England, I came here because Anthony Joshua was a star, and that was the first fighter to bring me over to cover boxing. His name everywhere, his face is everywhere. You had something to do with that. You had a formative years.
Yeah,
with
but
him.
it's not documented in terms. It's not public knowledge, and like I said,
it's not crossover knowledge. But people in boxing,
a few people have mentioned it. But like I said, my attention is I don't care about all that. It will be told one day. It's the untold. My own story will be told.
Right, but there is what I'm saying is with Chisora, for instance, and now Dubois, and the many fighters who remain unnamed in this interview but are a part of your resume, do you reflect on the moment right now that you're facing a guy that you had that much to do with, that you're bringing a fighter who's 10 years his junior, who's got the belt, to ascend to this moment as a trainer, whatever happens Saturday night, that you've already accomplished the 1% of the 1%.
Well, most definitely. That's my, my thinking. And I never knew that I would be training somebody to be facing a guy, like I said, that was very instrumental earlier on in his career, in development as an amateur. And it's destiny. Destiny, I'm a strong believer in destiny. And destiny brings us here. Destiny will be concluded on the 21st, will be revealed on the 21st of September at Wembley Stadium.
Is there something for you as a trainer that when it does sunset, when you start writing your book and doing your documentaries, the underdog, and all of this is kind of settled down and you maybe pass the mitts on to the next generation, what is it that Don Charles wants to have brought to the sport, wants to have leave as his mark in this wide world of boxing that you feel that no one else has done or that is uniquely yours?
I set my own targets. I set my own thing. So winning on the 21st of September would then cement my position within, certainly British boxing. And then what happens after that happens. And there's a lot of things I'd like to introduce within the British setup, the boxing industry. I have a lot of things planned. I will obviously present to the board, British Boxing Board of Control. I've got a lot of ideas that I want to present and some things I'd like to see change going forward. And by winning on the 21st, that will give me the position and the platform to be able to do so.
Whatever happens on the 21st, we have been honored and pleasured to see your work, to watch you influence not just fighters, but the sport itself. I can attest to what a positive attitude you have, what an emotionally positive guy you are. And we're in this surrounding here at the Pug Yard because, as you saw, there's constantly work going on under your umbrella. You've got the barn.
Yeah, we didn't prepare for camp here, as you know.
I was going to say, you've got the barn.
This is my personal gym, then we're at the barn.
Where you created a unique atmosphere that is world champion caliber. Like Dubois got that belt, and then he walked into a camp unlike any previous camp he'd had.
Yep.
These are things that I regard as something that only a real trainer, a real teacher, somebody who lives and breathes the sport understands that transition was necessary.
Yes, it was.
And so, I just want to thank you really for your time today and your generosity with time always, but also just for what you give to the sport and how long you've been giving it. Watching you work is a pleasure, and we can't wait to watch you work again this Saturday night at Wembley Stadium, the 21st IBF World Title on the line. Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua, Radio Rahim, and Don Charles.
Yeah. Let's go!
Let's go.